movie. Talk about it, I guess. Was there anything after that? It wasn't any end credit scenes in them
old end credit scenes
DC movies. Yeah,
Wonder Woman is the only DC movie that didn't have a after credit scene.
Nah, Man of Steel didn't.
I forget Man of Steel.
And Batman versus Superman didn't either. It just had a deleted scene later on in the Blu-rays or something like that.
No, that didn't deserve to be, and no one should have sat through that all the way to the end anyway.
And then Aquaman shouldn't have had a deleted scene, or shouldn't have had an end credit scene with Manta. Was there any other one? Suicide Squad didn't.
Yes, it did.
It did?
Yes, Suicide Squad did? Yeah, damn sure had an end credit scene.
Oh, it set up Justice League.
Yeah,
Batman told Amanda Waller, "I need the list of the others," or something like that.
Yep.
And our crew is gonna shut you down if you don't shut it down. Got it. All right, so after watching it again, how do you feel? I got my thoughts.
It's still the best superhero movie. Yeah, it did nothing to change my opinion one bit. So it has the best first and second acts ever in a superhero film. It has a third act that I used to think was really bad, but now I've come to realize it's not the third act that's bad. And it's not even their whole fight with Ares that's bad. It's that last minute that's like, you didn't really need to go that far with it. But
yeah,
because of the first two acts alone, there is not a superhero movie made that will, to me, ever compare with Wonder Woman, because no one will go to the lengths that they went to for them first two acts. I don't think anyone would ever even attempt to do something like this again.
So it's weird because I go back and forth. Sometimes when I look at Winter Soldier and the way that they kind of started setting things up until the point that Nick Fury gets fake shot or fake killed, they started to kind of do some weird things. But the beginning setups for that and a lot of the payoff fights for that is one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite Marvel films. But I think with this, to your point, they had this movie fully realized before shooting anything. Like Patty knew exactly what she wanted this to be. And I think that definitely contributes to the end resolve after, I guess 3 years later, watching it again. I think you're right. I mean, when I was watching the third act, I was like sitting there, I was like, all right, I'm ready to rip this apart. But I think when I was in the theaters, I was like, man, it was so good. And then, why did you have to add this part? And so I think in my head, I was like, third act was crap. Because it's easy to pinpoint one thing that you just was like, man, you set this one thing across that messed it up. Instead of like looking at it as a whole retrospectively. Because now it's kind of like, even their conversation, like hers and his, meant something. It wasn't like it was a fruitless conversation between Ares and Diana, because she came up with the revelation herself. Like, I could do what he's saying, but at the same time, they're more than worth it. And then, I mean, it always broke my heart seeing Steve get killed, because I actually loved his character. Like, I really, truly, he probably, when I think about side characters in any DC film, he's one of my favorite side characters. He technically does he feel like more like a protagonist to you? Like, do you feel like they both are the protagonists of this film?
Yes.
Like, this is just as much his film as hers?
Yes. Because it couldn't exist without Steve Trevor. It needs him in this film. Not just from an acting standpoint, from a story standpoint, it needs him in this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like well, again, in the theaters, I think what disappointed the most was the switch. But also, I think, and this comes from at times having theater experiences, I didn't fully hear their whole conversation when I was in a theater watching this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And now when you hear their conversation, it puts a lot of weight onto why it ended the way it did.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I had forgot how he popped up in the room. I completely forgot how that happened. And for
Yeah.
him to just to pop up like that, to get the revelation, and for him to be the one to reveal to her that technically you were created to kill me. And it also gives the revelation that her mom lied to her the entire time and never told her how she was made.
Yep.
Or anything of that nature. Like it was a lot of big reveals by him in the end that I completely missed when I initially saw this movie.
Yeah, and they did. It's weird because they played it smart. Patty played it real smart because there are some versions of Diana's story where it's like she was made of clay and this was this, but you know, the deep cut is that no, like her and Zeus had this child, and this is the reason why Ares is after this kid, and that's the reason why she's been so terrified because she knows what the calling that's on this girl's life.
Yes.
What she's actually meant to do.
The moment you come into your powers, he's going to be able to sense you.
Yeah.
The moment he senses you, I can no longer protect you.
Yep. Yeah.
It's an overwhelming sense of dread that goes throughout this entire film. But again, you don't get that in superhero films. You get dread from the standpoint of I need to save the world more than the personal stuff that comes along with this movie.
Yeah.
And that's what most superhero films can't manage to pull off. The only one I've seen pull it off well was Spider-Man 2, where they pulled off the personal dread of being that person, being the person who's supposed to save everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And they go deep into it too.
And this is excluding any Batman movie, by the way, for anyone who's wondering, because Batman is not a superhero. Excluding every Batman movie.
Yeah. Another compliment I'll say about Wonder Woman after watching it again is that they go through all the different dissections of humanity. Like the worst, the best, the in-betweens, and the unlooked. Like what I mean by unlooked is like when you think about like the Arabian dude and the Native American guy or the Irish guy that was dealing with PTSD, the people that were unlooked, that were still, you know, just broken based on the circumstance, but they still were fighting for humanity ultimately. I don't know. It does identify like the capacity of humanity is bad, of course, but they're striving for hope and good. But it's just hard to come across without making it cheesy. But they didn't come off as cheesy characters because they had their own substance behind them. They had their own weight. And it's like she's an Amazon. Like she's a soldier before any of them. And yet she was the most naive and innocent of all of them. This is weird. It's like her as a character, she's an enigma. Like she is a killing machine, technically, but she is innocent. And I don't know. Like
I think it's just for this film because this is an introduction of her being brought into this world, while the rest of them have already lived through this. Like she's trained her entire life to be a warrior.
Yep.
It's different training for a battle than going through one.
Yep.
And the whole experience of this movie is her going through a battle and having to learn what to do, how to deal with loss. Like that, the scene at the village is gut-wrenching for her.
Yeah.
Because she's not accustomed to that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird too because she isn't around. Not only is she not around men, but she's not around children. She's not around babies. She's not around women that are defenseless.
Well,
you know,
she's around babies. We just don't know how in that island that they get babies, but they're clearly around babies because when she saw the baby, she knew what it was. She said, "Oh, look at the baby." Like just like a woman, like just and that was supposed to relay that back that she knows what babies are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
explain how they're made.
bro, that's a plot hole, but I'm gonna leave that alone for now.
That's a Wonder Woman plot hole. That's not a movie plot hole.
Yeah,
That's a Wonder Woman plot hole.
look, I'll leave that alone. But what I mean is that all the women that she knows are warriors. They can take care of themselves, whether they're pregnant, whether they have babies or not. Like, she's not used to seeing women and children completely defenseless.
Yes.
And then people still choosing to destroy them. For what reason? Like, that's just not how she was brought up. And the revelation of that is kind of like, that could be, I mean, as much as she loves Steve, like, Steve had that same capacity, but at the same time, anybody does. And I think that it's hard reality when it comes to, like, even her own power. Like, at the point that Steve was like, look, I don't know if that was Aries or not, and I'm sorry it's not working, but we need you. And she's like, but no, I was like, yo, you right now are about to contribute to people dying. You need to help him. But she couldn't get past her own stuff at that point.
She couldn't get out her own way because she's been taught her whole life.
Yep.
He's the bad guy. If you get rid of him, everything will cease to exist.
Yeah.
And when it came to the realization that that's not true and that people can actually be evil, that was the key part. People can actually be evil.
Yeah.
So first you get the revelation that people can be evil. For someone who thought people are never evil, they can only be turned evil, to later on getting the hope and seeing that no, like everyone isn't the way I thought they would be.
Yeah.
Like hope still exists. Hope through love still exists in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was a double whammy when I really think about it. It's so stupid. Like, when I think back to the third act, all I think about is just the fight. But
that third act was packed full of stuff besides that fight.
Yeah, the reality is that she got that conversation with Steve that threw her completely off and realizing that. And then she was brought with the realization that she herself was a god and that she'd been lied to. Like, and it's kind of like, what are you gonna do? And honestly, if Aries was smart, he should have just saved Steve, to be honest with you. And if I was him, I would have been like, all right, well, I'll preserve Steve's life if you do what I asked you to do and join me. Because I've been curious to see what she would have done.
I think she would have sacrificed Steve.
You think so?
100% so.
I don't think she would have.
I easily think she would have sacrificed, because in the end, she understands what the greater purpose is for, and it is not for one person.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, the greater purpose is never for one person.
And I mean, I think she would know that Steve wouldn't want that either. Yo, what if that's gonna be the Wonder Woman 84 situation? What if somebody jumbles Steve? Like, say the situation is, I don't know. We haven't seen the movie yet, y'all. So I'm just speculating. But say it's a situation where somebody's like, look, I've bought Steve Trevor back, but I need you to do something for me. And unless you do what I asked you to do, like, he's gone. Or something to that nature.
I think that hurts Wonder Woman more.
Yeah.
I think that hurts the mystique of Wonder Woman more. I don't think at that point in time she would do anything to jeopardize any other person's life just to save his.
I'm curious.
The selfishness that would be wrapped around that wouldn't make. One thing I know for sure, without seeing the movie yet, is that Patty has said the movie is about hope. I can't have hope if I have you make a side deal to bring somebody back to life and you owe somebody. So that wouldn't be the way you would bring him back. I'm still under the feeling that you shouldn't have brought him back, but supposedly the way they bring him back is possibly one of the best moments of the film. So it's kind of interesting to see how that works.
For the longest time, I thought it was just in her mind, to be quite honest with you. Like, because, so that's the other thing. How is it that she's not aging?
Really, Sam? Are you asking that question?
I mean, we're taking comic book knowledge out of this. We're going just based on the narrative.
She's a god.
But she was a kid. She grew up as a kid.
She grew up as a kid. Yes. And then at a certain point, that aging process stopped. Superman grew up as a kid.
Fair enough.
And when Superman reached a certain age, aging didn't exist anymore for him. Or as he says, I don't age at the rate that you all age at.
Yeah. Because she is much older than him. How old is she?
In BVS? She's over 100 years old in BVS.
Yeah, something like that.
And we know Superman's 34, 35.
Yeah, he's only
because they keep up with the Jesus angle.
He's 33.
No, he's 33 in Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's 34, 35 in BVS. Yeah. Anyway, so what do we rate this? Oh, 10 out of 10. My rating has never changed for this movie. My rating has never changed for Wonder Woman because, again...
Alexa, lights on. Alexa, lights on.
Alexa's like, I'm not turning on nothing till you rate Wonder Woman. But let me pull back a little bit. I said 10 out of 10. Well, yeah, because superhero movies are on the curb for me anyway. So yeah, yes, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a minute and a half could never make me say, oh, this movie is I can't take you down for a minute. And then I love the point that, again, I thought the third act was bad when I first saw it, but I think maybe that was more perception than anything else. But now I have literally no issue with the third act. And even their fight and that last minute that isn't good, the way they weave in those other storylines into their fight is what makes it 1,000% watchable. So yeah, superhero film, 10 out of 10. It's only two of them that's a 10 out of 10. This is Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I'll leave it at a 9.5, I guess. I can't remember what I originally rated it. I feel like I might have. Did I give it a 9 or I give it a 10? I don't even remember. I think that over time, it's just easier to look at it like, oh, the third act was just weak, but everything else is just really good. And I think that in hindsight, man, this is actually a really good, entertaining ride. Like, it's not just it was good action. It's not just it was good shots, but it was a very entertainment-filled film. And a big bulk of that came with Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. They not only did their chemistry work, it adds so much volume to the film as a whole that really surprised me after watching it. Like I mean, if you look at our reaction to this, I was smiling and laughing pretty much every time they were on screen together. Or emotional when, they were having like issues or spouts. So I rested at 9.5. Where it ranks with the rest of the DCU films, that's where me and Lucas are gonna be completely on different sides of the spectrum. But
I can't possibly see how this ain't number one.
You already know what my number one is, Lucas. You already know what my number one is.
It could not be anything besides Wonder Woman. There's literally not a movie that you can say that DC has ever made in this new iteration of their DC.
Oh, okay.
That comes close to Wonder Woman.
I was showing I was about to say. Anyway,
go right here. I'll give you a better take. This is the best superhero movie DC has ever made.
Whoa,
I don't care.
You trying to start some cases,
I don't care what movie you go back to. And please, people, start from the Superman movie with Christopher Reeves and then go through all of them. This is the best superhero movie they've ever made. I don't care about nostalgia that goes along with those Christopher Reeves movies, because if you bring up nostalgia, I'll bring up that Gene Hackman is absolutely horrible in those movies. Absolutely horrible in those movies. Nostalgia alone.
You're not including Batman. You're not including Batman movies.
I already told you. Batman is not a superhero.
See, you throwing me off, Lucas. I'm like, what you saying, dog?
I already told you Batman is not a superhero. That's the first disclaimer I gave.
Okay.
Batman is not a superhero.
Okay. Hold on. Let me give me a second. If we're disincluding animated films,
of course,
then
of course we are. I'm talking about live action only.
It's in the top 3 for me. So for me, if I'm disincluding any of the Batman movies, Man of Steel was my favorite that DCU's made. I think that this one is probably my number 2. Then what is my number 3? Joker? Is Joker even included in it? Joker's not included in this.
It is not. Not part of DC universe.
Dang.
I know.
So now I'm about to get some hate for this one.
See, we are far off. Wonder Woman is my number 1. My number 2 is Shazam. And my number 3?
You gonna say Aquaman?
No, I hated that movie.
I was about to say, what you gonna say then? You better not say Harley Quinn. You better not say Birds of Prey.
That is in the DC universe.
No, don't you? No.
Birds of Prey number 3.
What is wrong with you?
Birds of Prey number 3. That is in the DC universe. Jeez, that is the only other movie that is close to being tolerable. And I didn't like Birds of Prey. You know I didn't like Birds of Prey. But it's better than Aquaman, who is just as cheesy as humanly possible. You can skip any movie by Snyder. Any one of them, all of them are equally bad. So it would easily be Wonder Woman, Shazam, and then Birds of Prey, because I have to pick a third. And that's the only reason Birds of Prey is there, because I have to pick a third.
I'm trying to think. What is mine? I might give it Man of Steel, Wonder Woman. It could go either way between Suicide Squad and
I don't understand how it's not Shazam.
So the weird thing about Shazam is that I have fun with it, but it was too cheesy to me. It's weird.
It's a kids movie.
I know, that's the thing. Like, but
it's a kids movie.
This is the weird thing. As stupid and cheesy as Aquaman is, I would put Aquaman on and watch Aquaman before I look at Shazam again. That's the weird thing.
I watched that movie and man, I cut it off like 4 times. That movie is so bad. There's not a good performance in that movie. There's not a good shot in that movie. There's not a good anything in Aquaman. Aquaman is made for women to like Jason Momoa. That's it. Other than that, that movie is horrible. So many levels.
Wonder Woman. Man, I am torn.
Matter of fact, number 3 is Wonder Woman 84. There you go.
Wait, no, I ain't even seen the joint yet. I ain't seen the joint.
Guess what? I don't even have to see it. It's already at number 3 for me without me seeing it yet. It's at number 3. So it's Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Wonder Woman 84.
I'm gonna keep it controversial until I've seen Wonder Woman 84. I'm gonna leave my third pick unanimous. It's gonna either be between Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 84, or Batman vs Superman Ultimate Cut, and I'll leave it at that. And we'll go into more later. But if Wonder Woman 84 is, what's the word? If it's better than, I don't think it's gonna be better than this. Well, all right, let's just say this.
Yeah,
do you think it could be better than this?
No. Not
why?
No.
Wait, why? Why do you think it could be better than this?
You know why? Because I don't think they would take the risk that they took with this film with 84. And then I don't think it needs to. I think this introduced us to the character and did a heck of a lot more than 84 has to do. I think 84 is a bridge gap movie. 84 is a movie to get you to modern day Wonder Woman. So I don't think it will be as good as this movie, but most sequels aren't. It's very rare for a great movie, a great superhero movie to follow that up with the movie behind it be better.
Yeah.
You're either going to get Spider-Man and then Spider-Man 2, which we know which one of those are a great movie and which one isn't, or is X-Men and then X2. Again, we know which one of those movies was really good and which one really was okay. Like, you don't get both. 84, as long as 84 isn't Iron Man 2, I'm fine. That's it.
Oh
As
man,
look, you're following up a great movie, and then you do, as long as it's not Iron Man 2, we're fine.
Yeah.
And I don't think Gal, I think on her own would be good enough for it not to be Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
So that's the key part.
So do you think after they make Wonder Woman 3 that they're just gonna recast everybody?
I don't know, because it's a chance that they may put the rest Wonder Woman for a while. I don't think you can go immediately into recasting Wonder Woman. Like, I think the only character you can immediately recast is a Batman. You can't do that with anyone else, because Batman can live on his own and be separate from everything else. Gal is Wonder Woman. To an entire generation of people, she is Wonder Woman. So after Wonder Woman 3, which you won't probably see to 2025, 2026.
Yeah, based on what they were saying.
Maybe
Patty was like
further than that.
Yeah, Patty said that she was gonna push it back out. Not just that, she's working on her darn Rogue Squadron anyway. So
no, it's not even just about Patty. At that point, it's about the way DC wants to line up things. And I don't think they want another Wonder Woman film at least for 3 to 4 years. They have too many other projects that they clearly still have in pre-production that they have to have done.
Yeah. And
then there's the big one that we ain't talk about that's going to change a heck of a lot of stuff.
What?
That's Flash. Yeah. That kind of resets Wonder Woman. And it kind of resets everything for DC.
You know, I'm gonna say this. I might get in trouble for saying this. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about Andy Muschietti's The Flash, because it doesn't seem like an event film anymore. It seems like, I don't know what initially I kind of was like, oh, okay, this is going to be the setup, and whatever they're doing with Spider-Man 3, they're kind of setting up a world building maneuver. But it's like every time that there's an opportunity for Andy Muschietti to talk about this film,
he's doing what a smart director does.
He
should not be opening his mouth about Flash.
Nothing.
He shouldn't be. He should not be opening his mouth about a film he's not started filming yet. He ain't gonna open his mouth about Flash, and he shouldn't. Like, hey, let Sony have all the fun in the world and announce every bit of casting they want to for Spider-Man 3. Just understand, if DC wanted to snatch attention away, they would have. And instead, Andy, who I love as a director, because to me, he's already done a story with scope that I didn't think humanly possible to film. And while the second part of that story wasn't that good for me, the first part of the film is the hardest thing to film. And if you can deal with a story with that much scope, you can easily do a Flash movie. And to keep your mouth shut right now makes the most sense for DC. Because right now, they want all the focus on Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad. Yeah. I think that's the biggest mistake that they used to make all the time, was announcing everything before it was time for that film to be announced.
Yeah, that's always, excuse me, that's always what DC has been doing. Like, they're like, oh, this person is directing this person is acting in this, and then it falls through.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with you announcing like projects in production or pre-production, like Ava with New Gods or any of this other stuff. By you announcing it, that's cool. Once you announce it, you move on, though. Don't bring up the project until you start filming. because if you bring it up before you start filming, you're going to have headaches. And in all honesty, let's be real here. The MCU is a name. DC characters are bigger.
Yeah.
You can't just be throwing stuff out there without. Look what happened with Matt Reeves and Batman. Like, people hounded that man for 3 years because he was going to do the Batman.
Straight up.
So I think it's smart right now for them not to mention anything about Flash. Besides, it's going to be a Flashpoint. That's all he said. He's not confirmed any of the rumored casting or anything.
None of them. None of them.
I think that's the smartest thing in the world to do. Because the last thing you want to do is, as you're writing and as your story evolve, you change things, and now you got to go back and explain what you changed. He's probably like, nope, we know the direction we want to go into. We're not going to announce whoever else is going to show up in this movie, or maybe we go back and decide we don't need any of these people to show up in this movie. But let's not say nothing.
It's true. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird.
Because remember, Flash isn't due to come out until mid to late 2022.
2022. And I mean, I know they're shooting in 2021. It's just, I think the problem is they've gone through, 3 directors? Because it initially was Rick Fukunaga, who did a dope episode of Mandalorian, by the way. Then it was it the dudes that did the Spider-Man movie? Weren't they tagged on to do the Flash?
No, not Lord and Miller. Lord and Miller would have been first. They were first. Then Rick replaced them.
And then it was a third.
Yeah, some stupid people replaced them. But Andy's been locked in. Andy is the first one to lock in and do a script and get approval. Like everyone else was waiting. Andy's a WB guy, so it made more sense than anything the moment they announced him for it. He's their guy, unlike the other directors who were known for outside projects from other studios.
True. All right. Well, you guys, we will come back to something similar to this.
We doing Man of Steel next?
So I'm torn. I'm torn because I want to give you like a break. So it's like either we're gonna do Man of Steel or BVS.
Oh, neither one of those are a break. You can start with Man of Steel.
So all right,
BVS
so Man of
will be
Steel,
much worse for me.
So Man of Steel, it'll be next. Then we'll do either Suicide Squad or Shazam. That's your pick. I'll let you pick between those two.
Oh, Suicide Squad.
And then we'll do.
That's the most enjoyable movie ever made from DC in this modern iteration.
So that's why I was saying, like, that's why I was like torn with my third pick because
I know the difference between an enjoyable movie and a good movie, and so do you, Sam. You know the difference.
No, I thought we were talking about our favorites. I'm not talking about good or not.
Okay,
like
I was listing the best movie. I was
talking about my favorites. Like,
you know, I love Suicide Squad and their putties. Like, I love Suicide Squad. It was just ridiculous on a level that things shouldn't be ridiculous.
All right. So far, you guys, our schedule is gonna be next gonna be Man of Steel, then it's gonna be Suicide Squad, and then we'll round it out with Batman vs Superman. By the time we get to Batman vs Superman, it'll probably be March, and it'll be right on time to look at the man that Lucas doesn't want to talk about, Justice League.
All I would say, just be prepared, because see, this was the good commentary. That's all I'm gonna say.
So it's gonna be interesting too, because when we get to that, it'll be like episode for episode. So I think we'll probably do it the same way. Like, I mean, if we're doing it on Twitch, it don't matter, and then we can go into much commentary immediately right after. So that's gonna be a little bit more fun.
There you go.
So, yeah. All right, you guys, we are out, and hope y'all have fun. Peace.